Hi, this is Towanna Freeman with the Black Life Coaches Network. I am so glad you can join us for another episode of BLC TV. Today's guest is, one of those kind of guests that you're really not sure if you want to have them on because they might start up a firestorm when it comes to information around relationships. And that's because women get real tense sometimes when you talk about what they need to do in order to keep a man. So I am actually excited to have this guest because he's very thorough. He wrote a book about this particular topic, and it's no other than Chey B. Welcome, Chey B, to Black Life Coaches.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so you wrote a book that has a very interesting title, and obviously there are a lot of books out there right now that talk to women about how they can improve upon themselves so that they can have stronger and better and more more fulfilling relationships. And so in that case, your book is no different, because the title of your book is Food, Sex, and a Peace of Mind: What a Woman Needs to Know in order to keep a man, right? So it's like you're giving us an insider's view or perspective on what's important to a man, and you're saying it's food, sex, and a peace of mind.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that theory and what it is that our audience can learn from you today.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And like you said, the title of the book is very simple: Food, Sex, and Peace of Mind: What a Woman Needs to Know to Keep a Man. I've talked to many different men from many different backgrounds, and I asked them, what will get you to settle down? What are a few components that will get you to give it all up and just commit to one woman? He was like, listen, all I need is food, sex, and for her to leave me alone. And just give me peace of mind. So I said, you know what, you're right, because I'm the same way: food, sex, and peace of mind, and I'm good. It's not a lot, but it does take a lot, especially the peace of mind part. So I like to share this information with the ladies because, and I'm sure all of the ladies can attest to this, that the pillow talk is not the same conversation that I would get over a beer with a man. So I'm sharing this insight with the ladies on how to get a man to come and how to get a man to stay.
That's interesting. So what if it's really about a peace of mind, then what is it? I recently saw something on your Twitter page, and it was a part about the peace of mind, and that I'm actually most interested in, because our audience, they follow us because we provide content around personal development and getting them people to improve themselves. And by you being a coach, you obviously are an expert in this area. But when it comes to a peace of mind, there's several layers of that. What is it that a man is actually looking for? For us to not complain, for us not to give them, extra stress around, the dishes or the garbage or the kids. Where is the peace of mind part? Give me some engaging pieces on that.
That's an excellent question, and I'm glad you asked that, because this is one of the most important aspects, because a man can get food anywhere. He can get sex anywhere. But when he's trying to invite a woman into his life for the long haul, that peace of mind aspect has to be there. And what peace of mind means is that you compliment me. This world is a cold, hard, and lonely place for a man without the warmth of a woman. So when he steps from independence to interdependence, let's say he has a long, hard day's work, it's just really bad day. When he comes home, the last thing he wants to come home to is more stress from the person in the place where he's expecting that stress to be relieved. So you have to add value to his life if you want to be in his life. That means you have to be loving, you have to be kind, you have to be patient, understanding, supportive. Actually, I have what I call the 7 habits of highly effective relationships. And those 7 things are respect, love, trust, loyalty, honesty, support, and communication. Right. Without those 7 things, the relationship is destined for failure. So you have to have those components, and you have to keep them in mind when dealing with another person. It's easy to be forgetful of certain things when you're only dealing with yourself. But when you're bringing someone else into your life, you have to keep these things in mind in order to provide peace of mind to that individual. So getting to know them, understanding what works, what doesn't work, will be key essentials to the growth and success of your relationship.
Shai B, all that's easier said than done. You know that.
Yes.
We by you being a coach, you've probably seen so many variations of where women are in their lives as pertaining the ability to either hold their tongue or to be supportive or be loving, be nurturing in a relationship. And they're both stressed. They both have, life outside of their home. The man is not the only one that has that type of responsibility outside the home. So it's really hard to know where the balance comes in. So let me ask you, in your opinion, where does a man understand that you can't always expect that nurturing piece if everybody, both sides of the table are stressed? Both sides of the table is looking for a little something, something other than, it all being on the woman to provide. Because we need peace of mind too. So, I just want to, I want to put it out there.
Well, give me a little bit of time. Let me enjoy this first book. All right. I'm gonna put out another book. Don't worry.
Okay.
You know what? That's very important. I was just talking to a young lady last week, and she was telling me she's married. They have a child, and she told me she gets it. Food, sex, and peace of mind. I get it. But what about my husband? When I'm talking to him, he just doesn't listen. He doesn't try to understand. I said, you know what? That's what one of my next books is going to be about, talking to the men. Because if you want food, sex, and peace of mind, which seems like a little bit, you have to give a woman what she requires as well. That means you have to listen. You have to communicate. You have to be understanding. You have to be just as patient, kind, and loving as you expect her to be.
Okay, so then,
So
okay, good. So then that means then there's a part two, obviously, to the learning process. You deal with the men right now. I mean, you deal with the women first, and now you're going to, put pen to paper and tackle that issue to support the women in the relationship. That's fantastic. So I know you're going to do this full circle. Okay, so then I'll stay in this.
before you go on, I also want to add something that's very important, because in writing this book geared towards the women, I am in fact reaching the men, because a man is more like, even when I write this next book to the men, it's going to be purchased primarily by women. They're going to purchase the book for the men. Men aren't rushing to bookstores to buy books on relationships.
That's right.
Men like to figure things out on their own. So while I wrote this book geared towards the women, the men are reading the women. So I'm trying to build these women up, fill their spirits with this knowledge and wisdom, so that when a man reads them, they're reading, oh, that woman knows her worth. That woman is filled with love. She has a good spirit. So if I want to attract a woman like that, I have to be that type of man as well. So I have to work on me if I'm going to get my Michelle Obama.
And Shai B, I haven't had the opportunity to read your book, and so I have to be upfront about that. And now that I have met you and I'm engaging with you, I'm gonna have to go and check it out so that I can get ready for the next book. But this is what I know is true, that when you have two people into the relationship, they're both imperfect people. People can talk about the fact that they've worked on themselves, they've had therapists, they've been to counseling, they can talk about how they've worked to become whole before they became a couple and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, no matter how much therapy, how much counseling, or how much you try to do before you become a unit, you're still an imperfect person, because we're all flawed in so many areas of our lives. If that theory is true, then no matter how many books you read, you have to understand, you have to give people space to make errors. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we have to give each other space to make errors, and we have to give each other, I guess, a waiver in a sense that if I'm imperfect and you're imperfect, how much more can I expect of you? Because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have issues. I can get the principles that you mentioned, the values that you talked about, the characteristics that you're looking for in a spot. I can get that right. But I got to give you room to make mistakes. Do you agree? And how do you support that with your clients?
Absolutely, and you made some excellent points. And I encourage people that when they get into a relationship with someone, even before a relationship, let's go back. Because chapter 1 of my book is get to know yourself. That is the key, because we are the common denominators of every relationship that we're in. I could go out this door and meet a billionaire, someone who's extremely successful, and that would mean nothing if I'm not building myself up to be on that level. they'll look at me and say, okay, why do I need to know you? Why should I partner with you? I'm a billionaire. I have everything. What is it about you that I need to be affiliated with? So I'll say, and I won't get offended by that. I'll be motivated by that. I'll say, okay, I'll see you next year. I'm gonna build myself up to get on your level. So now let's date. Let's
Okay.
do this. So you're building yourself up, and when you finally decide to date, what you're looking for are characteristics that you see in yourself. Remember that year we took to build ourselves up? Now you've built up your esteem, your confidence, your self-worth. So now you're looking for a different type of person because you're a different type of person. You've improved. And when you get into that dating realm and get into that relationship, you want to connect with somebody that you both love and can tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like when you said we're always going to be flawed. But when you're with the person who you're willing to fight with when they make those mistakes, I like to use my son as an example. There is nothing in this, I have a 5-year-old son. There is nothing in this world that he can say or do to make me stop loving him. He makes mistakes all the time.
But Shai B, that's unconditional love for your child. We don't have
Yes.
unconditional love for each other. Grown, your mothers have it for their children, fathers have it for their children. But how do we identify unconditional love to where we give people that much? I guess you said tolerance. It's very difficult to understand that unconditional peace. I don't know where you grew up. I know you're in New York, right? So I don't know if you,
Brooklyn.
okay, so you understand that the environment in which you grew up in required a certain level of, obviously, street sense. You had to have a different hustle. What your environment and your community taught you, right? So in that situation, you're raised to see things a certain way, and that is translated through your life, right? And you have unconditional love for your community. You're a tried and true New Yorker. There's a pride there. So that's ingrained in you. When you're connecting with a person, it there's got to be a lot of, as you say, the go through that tests and try a relationship to build that unconditional love, or to build that level of trust and fortitude that would keep someone to say, I forgive you this time. I forgive you next time. I forgive you before I don't even, whatever you haven't even done wrong, I've already forgiven you. So that's a huge piece. Are you writing a book on forgiveness?
That's a huge part of building a relationship, and it's in this book. It talks about being emotionally available. That's in chapter 1.
That's chapter one.
That's in chapter 1.
Okay.
Be emotionally available. It's the name of the chapter is Get to Know Yourself, and there's so many different components that I put in the sub chapters, and being emotionally available is one of them, because we have to be vulnerable in order to love and be loved. So that might mean going back on all of the things that we've learned. A lot of the things that we were taught weren't right. We've just been doing it for so long that we believe that it's right. So sometimes you have to, when you get to know yourself, you're going to say, you know what my mom told me wasn't right. What my dad told me wasn't right. That's what they believe to be true. But now that I'm taking this spiritual journey for myself and I'm living my own life, I'm figuring out what is really right. And I'm applying it to my life, and I'm letting it into my relationship, my personal and my professional relationships. And I'm doing what I believe is right, whether other people will agree with it or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, BLC viewers. The one thing that I really like about Shai B is that, like I said, he's a young man. He has, his life experiences he's bringing and he's putting into what he does for a living as a life coach, as a relationship expert. And what's actually translating here, and I respect it completely, is that this man, his knowledge and his level of expertise is deeper. It's almost like he has an old soul. It's like he's been taught by grandmama and his, great aunties or something. Don't let his age or
Mohawk.
yeah, or mohawk or his hoodie keep you from purchasing this book. Tell us, Shai B, because I need people to understand a little bit about your history. Who are your ideal clients, the type of people that come to you for help. Help people understand how they connect with you and why you are the go-to guy for relationships in this particular area.
That's a great question. And a lot of people, they look at me, they see I'm a young black man, I'm not married, I'm single, and they say, well, what makes you qualified to be a life and relationship coach? What gives you the right to write a book on relationships and tell me what to do? And what I say is, we are all life and relationship coaches in essence, but not everyone accepts that challenge.
Right.
I accept that challenge. When you're dealing with someone who doesn't want to listen to your feelings or doesn't address them, you can ask Shai B. When your family members and friends are tired of listening to your relationship issues, you can ask Shai B. When you're going through something that you want to keep confidential and you don't want to share with anyone, you can ask Shai B. But go to some of your friends and family members, call them with a problem. They'll look at their phone and say, oh no, this person always has problems. I don't want to take this call right now. But when you call me, I'll listen to your problems and I'll help you find solutions. It's a two-step process that I try to give to other people. And what brought me to being a life and relationship coach was my own life. I was at a point where I didn't know what I was doing on this earth. I was in a homeless shelter and I have a bachelor's degree and everything. So I'm looking at my life, I'm saying, what am I doing here? Not just in a shelter, but on earth. Where am I going? If I died today, would my life have mattered to anyone? And I didn't have the answers to those questions. So at that point, I had to really reevaluate what I was doing. I was even applying to 100 jobs a day while I was in there. And to my amazement, no one would hire me. So a voice spoke to me and said, maybe you should start doing the hiring and stop looking to be hired. So I said to that voice, I said, I received that, whoever you are. And then God spoke to me and he said, you know what, maybe you should take all of your talent, all of your gifts, all of your brilliance and give it to a nonprofit organization. So I'm in the shelter, I'm saying, well, I don't have that kind of time. I don't have any money, I don't have a job, I don't have a place to live. Why would I give my time someplace? I need a job. So I said, let me humble myself and finally submit to these calls. So I went and I applied to a nonprofit organization and I submitted my resume. And you know what they did? They hired me full time after seeing my resume. So I had an epiphany at that moment. I said, wow, is this what happens when I have a good heart, a good spirit, and a good attitude about doing things with my life? Just give and I'll be blessed. I said, I'm going to try this forever. So since that point, when I'm talking to people, when I'm doing business, I'm thinking, how can I help you? And when I do that, these people turn around and say, how can we help you? Right. And it works like a charm. So now that this has happened to my life, I want to share with other people. And becoming a life and relationship coach, while I was in the shelter, I was coaching people's relationships. And while I was making them feel better, I was making me feel better, and it helped me. So I said, you know what? If you ask some of my friends from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, they'll tell you, Shai loves to talk to people. He loves to make people laugh. He loves to motivate and inspire. And it just completely went over my head that I was sitting on my gifts the whole time. Here I am trying to apply to 100 different jobs, and I could be producing a job by doing what I love to do, talking. Who would have thought I could just talk and motivate and inspire and make money doing it? So I turned my passion into a source of income. And a lot of people, they don't like the fact that I have this ability to do that. And that's what will happen. When you start to pursue your dreams, your goals, people will look at you and say, what gives you the authority? And you have to say back to them, I give me the authority.
That's right.
I tell you who I am in this world, not the other way around.
That's right. That's right.
So that's how
I love that. I love you. I'm so glad you said that because there's so many people who watch our episodes, and some of the things that our guests will do is they will encourage people to understand the what's the important view and perspective to live your life through, and that is through your own eyes. And being able to validate yourself and being able to, build yourself up so that you can be a stronger and better person and more fulfilled, and not looking for validation outside of, in search of validation. Because we get in a lot of terrible relationships when we're searching for validation and from other people. And the one thing that's beautiful about you is that you have completely embraced your calling. You have completely submitted yourself to giving back and to helping and to sharing your gifts and to doing everything that you need to do so that you can be considered a legacy. And I say that, with a lot of respect, because men look to leave legacies on this earth. They look to, develop and create and to empower so that their seeds can be, can respect their work, and then that generation after that. So that completely is something I respect. Now, Shai B, the one thing that's important that, something that I'm hearing that you're not really saying is, when you were in the shelter and you were, accepting your calling, and you were coming into the knowledge of what it is that you were called to do, and you started the work of service, and you started giving yourself your time and service. What you're not telling me is probably the clue to why you really are doing the work in relationships, and that is, what problem were you solving when you went down the road of helping people with relationships? Because there was an experience that you had to have in your life that moved you to connect to particularly this area in life, which is around relationships and helping women understand men. What happened in your life to bring that together?
You're trying to get deep, aren't you?
No, I mean, out of respect, you don't have to go into so much, but I think it's important that people understand that you can't work out of your passion if something didn't happen. There has to be a problem you're trying to solve, and it's truly around experience.
Yes, and I firmly believe that sometimes your breakthrough will come after your breakdown. And I had a complete breakdown. It seemed to be all at once. Then what made it harder was, since I'm in the shelter, that means I can't spend as much time with my son as I wanted to. So all of these things hit me at once. So I said, no, I'm young, I'm smart, I'm bright, I'm talented, I'm gifted. I should not be in the shelter. And I said, I'm never going to be here again. So that's when I had to grow up. I had to change some things. I had to reinvent myself. I had to build up my independence, my esteem, my confidence, and get it together. Not just for my son, but for myself. And that's exactly what I did, and I never looked back.
And in doing that, you decided to work on relationships, because when things fell apart for you, what were you looking for that support structure and relationship support structure from someone other than necessarily a mate or your girlfriend, or family members? Where were you looking for your support structure? Because, obviously, if you ended up in the homeless shelter, there was that people were missing.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, and that's so important, and that's what made me really look at myself. I said, I must not have been that great of a person if I'm in this homeless shelter and nobody's coming to help me. I said, if I was really that great, people would be calling, are you okay? You have food? You have money? You have some place to live? I would have been there. But I wasn't bitter about it. I wasn't upset. I said, you know what? I'm getting what I deserve. I'm reaping what I sowed, which was nothing. So now I have to start planting more seeds in people's lives so that when I'm ever in a time of need, those people who I've helped will come back and want to help me. So I say, you know what? I need to help more people. That's immediately what I thought. I need to help more people because I can't call on anyone right now. I haven't been planting the seeds, but now that's exactly what I'm doing. You call me the farmer.
Oh, you know what? That's wonderful, and I'm so glad you answered the question, because you just helped a lot more people by answering that question. It's hard for clients to come to a young man, especially like I'm 42, so I can look at you and say, he may, he a little young, but I'm not really sure he can really understand my situation because he doesn't have that full knowledge. But what you're showing is that your understanding of serving people and understanding who people are and what people need to develop in character and their commitment to themselves helps to translate and understanding how men think and why women think the way they think, why we need to be better parents, why we need to be better children. I mean, it just understanding that level of understanding with you completes the story. So I thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for bringing that out of me.
Okay, so you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, obviously you're on YouTube, and people are going to be able to find all your contact information below this video. So tell us, how can people connect with you? How do you know if they want you to coach them? Tell us about any programs that you have that people can actually opt into and get services from you.
Yes, you can reach me at www.askcheyb.com, ASKCHEYB.com, and I'm available for one-on-one coaching, brand consulting, team mentorship, and we have an exclusive ladies' night out. You can call up 6 to 10 of your friends, get some drinks, music, and call over Ask Shai B, and we'll talk about relationships. And I believe that anyone who needs help can call me. I'm here to listen and help you find solutions, not just listen to your problems, but help you through them. So, and also I do Free Advice Wednesday for those who aren't sure if they need a relationship coach. You can call me from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every
Wow.
Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, and I will listen to your problem and help you find solutions. And you can find my
No.
contact number right on my website.
Fantastic. Well, this is our guest. This is Shai B, and you can find him at shyb.com. And again, the name of his book is Food, Sex, and a Peace of Mind: What a Woman Needs to Know to Keep a Man. And you can look below, and there's a link to purchase the book. Thank you, Shai B, for your time. You are a fantastic guest, and I look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time, and I will gladly come back.
Thank you.
You made some excellent points, and I encourage people that when they get into a relationship with someone, even before a relationship, let's go back, because chapter 1 of my book is get to know yourself. That is the key, because we are the common denominators of every relationship that we're in.